is the mark of the beast real? And the answer is yes, it is real. And the answer is we're going to end up living under it, and no one is going to be raptured out of it. Now, when I say that, many of my Christian listeners and viewers get extremely angry and say that I'm basically bad. They're going to stop listening to me. That means you're in a cult. If someone disagrees with you about something in the Bible, and it's not the deity of Jesus Christ or the Trinity, then you've got a problem and have become a Pharisee. And the reason we have tens of thousands of different denominations in this world is because everyone's infighting with each other, claiming they know the way and they have the answers. If you want to believe in a rapture, that is your business, and I'm not judging you for it. And I don't think you're of the devil. You have been grievously deceived. Now, I could go to the Bible and show people this all day long, but I'm going to talk about it the next hour. But folks really should use their heads in all of this and just ask yourselves, did John the Baptist get raptured out? Did Jesus get raptured out? Did the disciples, almost all of them who were killed, did they get raptured out? Did the folks in the fiery furnace get raptured out? Did George Washington get raptured out when he prayed to God for providence to beat the British Empire that no one else had defeated? And the answer is, God would protect his people many times at a point, and providence was clear, but you have to go through the fire first. You have to be willing to be put to the sword until God acts. And in many cases, like the Christians in the Colosseum, God doesn't take action because it's part of the plan that they be martyrs to spread the faith. But how do you get 1 billion Christians to lay down and to not be involved and let the devil take over the world? How do you do that? Well, you tell them they're not going to have to face judgment. They're not going to have to face crises and evil on this planet, that they should just lay down to everything. And you teach them Romans 13 out of context. So that they submit. And I want to be clear to the atheist listeners, the agnostic listeners, and a lot of other people who I don't hate, who I respect. I understand why you reject religion and Christianity, because it has become nothing but temples to men and twisted garbage. Christ himself beat the money changers, the religious controllers, who were there just collecting money from the people and manipulating. But here's the bottom line. There is an attack on humanity. And whether the devil's real or not, I want to end debate. The political global system of eugenics comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and behaves like the mythical devil. The archetype is real. Joseph Campbell, the whole 9 yards. For me, there's no debating. I know there's a spiritual force. I've experienced providence. I've experienced many things that are private. I can tell you it's real. I've interviewed many people I respect, like Colonel Craig Roberts, who died for 10 minutes on the operating table, came back. There are third world cultures that don't even have a Christian pantheon or cosmology, who've also been checked out by government psychiatrists and others who became Christian. And they have found that the Christ phenomenon, the Golden Gates, all of it, the portal, the judgment, all of it is real. And people say, well, that's an oxymoron. You said the dead in Christ are raised after they die. Interdimensionally, it doesn't matter. They're already in the future at that point. See, it's more sophisticated once you understand quantum mechanics. You think 1,000 years, 500 years, 20 years till the post-tribulation rapture? And then people are having the death experience now. They're going in dimensionally to the future. If you study the mathematics, it's incredible. And by the way, no one's ever postulated that. I just understand it. And people can say, oh, that's crazy. No, no, no. Once you figure all this out, the sacred geometry, people are like, that's of the devil. No, it's not. The Bible says the proof of God's design, the proof that God's real is look in the heavens. Look at God's creation. Look at what we can do, what we believe, what we think about, we can then later build. That's creator level stuff. We're made in the image of God, little g. Think about how incredible that is. And then think about the evidence in matter, but also living and non-living. Again, how we experience what our ancestors experienced through instincts, through crystallized, compacted memories, race memory. Then we live on through our children genetically as well. And then what we build, what we teach, what we write, what we do lives on. There's life shooting out at every angle. By the way, InfoWars is doing well. We're not in financial trouble like so much of other talk radio and other media, period. Media, period, is oversaturated, it's collapsing, it's in trouble, it's stuffed shirt, it's scripted teleprompter reading, it's dying. We have been trying to expand in the face of the globalists because everything we do is so successful. I have a responsibility, I realize. I realized this about 9 years ago, to really try to get as big as possible. And we've been doing it, and it's having a huge effect. We're just victims of our own success because the satellites, the fees, the regulations, the closed captioning, the 15 to 16 million people that tune in and watch our free stream every day is killing us. And so I really want to be able to continue on. I want to be able to expand. But just to continue on, I need folks to go to InfoWarsStore.com. And I'm doing this because I told CJ, I said, make me plug twice an hour, not one anemic plug at the end of the hour. I mean, really, I should be plugging every section like other hosts do. That's how you pay the bills. Plus, these products really do sell themselves once you use them. X2 with a 50% off bottle of colloidal silver right now. 30 to 40% off, 30 lowest cost, highest quality storable foods at InfoWarsSelect.com right now. 6 months free for the nightly news, ends tomorrow. That really sells itself. And then you're funding the tip of the spear. But we do need your support now more than ever.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been witnessing open world government be established. And when you read the Bible, it talks about a planetary government, a one-world political system with a false prophet that points towards the world leader as the savior of the planet, a unified one-world religion. And now we have the Pope calling for a one-world religion, calling for global government. We see 10 regional kingdoms under the UN with sub-regions of 10 under each region. Notice FEMA has 10 regions. We notice the UN documents calling it a kingdom. You notice that they are announcing that you're going to need a biometric face scan or thumbprint in the future to buy or sell. All the new Microsoft and other major software has the thumbprint technology on it. I told you 16, 17 years ago, you would thumbprint to turn your computer on or your phone on in the future. Soon it won't be something that's an option. It'll be mandatory. That is your body. Let he who has understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is 666, the number of a man. Your digital number, your measurement of your face, the measurement of your palm, the measurement of your index finger becomes a digital number. Let he who hath understanding reckon the number. And the preachers constantly debate what it is, what's going to happen. And now that they have major European companies years ago making their employees get microchips, and the Mexican police have to get microchips, and your pet, they're trying to pass laws, get the microchip. And the NSA spying on everything you do, and Google taking all the data and feeding it through these systems and predicting the future. And the biggest point, China comes out last year and says, within the next 2 years, we're going to implement it. It's going to be law. It started now, 2016, that every political statement you make, everything you buy, everything you do will be fed through our database, the equivalent of their NSA, and will be put into a social media score. In fact, you can pull that up. China announces new social credit score. And then if you're not a good globalist, you can't buy or sell. If you do, you get lower prices. Now it's peer pressure. Now if your friends aren't good communists, you don't get a good social score. So now you shun them to ghettos. There's BBC, China's social credit. Beijing sets up huge system. And the BBC announces it like it's a good idea. It's not total tyranny. It is exactly what's described in Revelations. So is the mark of the beast real? Oh, it's been used as a blueprint, whether or not the cosmology itself is true. And I'm a Christian, but I don't want to be associated with the establishment, Pharisee, state-run churches that are 501c3. Now, even CNN got it right to their credit. China's chilling plan to use social credit ratings to keep score on its citizens. CNN's so weird, man. They do so much bad, and then sometimes they tell the truth in amazing ways. Well, I'll tell you why. It's like RT will talk about the bad stuff America does, but not bad stuff Russia does. CNN's run by the CIA, folks. It's all, you can look it up, Anderson Cooper, all of it. The satellites are government. That's why they were the first cable network. And so they're allowed occasionally, because our good buddy status with China is kind of going away right now. So now you're going to start hearing a little bit of truth about them harvesting organs, doing things like that. But the question is, why isn't it being covered that it's happening here from babies? Now, I'm not saying all atheists are like this, but so many of them are incredibly close-minded. Some of them are just so pro-government, the state is God. And, of course, you know, an atheist I agree with, who I think is a great intellectual, when it comes to so many points, is Stefan Molyneux, and he'll point out that the most dangerous people out there are the liberal statists who tend to be atheists, but their new God, their brand new God, to quote Glenn Danzig, is the state, is the system, and that's not a new God at all. So all I know is what's in Revelations is beginning to unfold. And whether it's real or whether they use it as a blueprint, I know it's real. But whatever you want to believe, fine. What are you going to do about the fact that it's manifesting? And here's the other issue before I go to James and everybody else that's holding. And here's what I'm getting at. I grew up going to Southern Baptist churches, and evangelical churches. And then when I'd go down and visit Grandma in East Texas, I went to the Methodist church. And I sat there and I watched Protestant churches teach that don't worry about trouble in the world, don't worry about problems, don't worry about the Antichrist. That's because people can see that stuff in the news, because you're going to be raptured out. In fact, can we come back from break, or before we go to break and come back with calls? Can we play a show from Star Trek, people being beamed up? I just want to show that. Because Jesus didn't get beamed up. Of his 12 disciples, what, all of them but one got killed? And they wouldn't recant their faith? They didn't follow Romans 13 out of context? All the prophets got killed or came close. Moses got attacked, didn't follow Pharaoh's orders, violated Romans 13, because he didn't violate it. It says, if you have a godly government, if it's good, do as it says, or if it's its coin. Whose face is on this, Christ said. They wanted to set Christ up. They said, are you going to pay taxes? You're going to follow the law? He goes, yeah. Whose face is that? Caesar's. That's his. His face is on it. It's his system. He mined it. It's his property. That's like saying you take a microchip, you got to follow their system. You've opted in. You've contracted. I'm not up here judging anybody that's in the system. I'm in it too. But I'm in it to try to educate and try to inform people. But it's nowhere. You can read John the Revelator on the Isle of Patmos. The beast will wage war against the saints and will overcome them. There'll be this great falling away before. It'll be the greatest coming to Christ and to God ever, as the whole world turns against the beast more and more. And then he starts wiping out billions of people, a third of the world's population, half the Earth's surface burned. Giant columns of flame, mountains, huge metal insects dropping bombs. I mean, it's all in there. Huge wars. Russia and the Middle East, huge confrontations. It's all being lined up. You can't deny it. And then Christ comes back at the Battle of Armageddon. And then the dead in Christ are raised. I mean, a 5-year-old could read that. But you're so deceived because in the last 100+ years, the World Council and National Council of Churches has globalized the Christian faith and come in and taught new dogmas that were not known in Christianity ever. In the 40s, German Christians didn't resist Hitler and thought it was the end of the world. They thought he was the Antichrist. They kept saying, when are we going to be raptured? When are we going to be raptured? It isn't there. And listen, Christians get so mad at me. I'm not saying your preacher's wrong if he teaches pre-tribulation rapture. I'm not saying he's a false teacher. I'm sure he knows more Bible verses than I do. All I know is the whole Bible, Christians have to stand up. The Israelites had to stand up against evil and do the right thing on threat of death and many times get killed. Why now do we get teleported up? Like, let's show Captain Kirk being teleported. I mean, I want to understand this. Because my gut, my spirit tells me it's not right. And regardless, let's say there's a pre-tribulation rapture. What are you going to do now against abortion or the baby parts selling or all the corruption or all the... Because all I hear Christians saying is, praise God, it's getting so bad, that means Jesus will be around the corner. Come Jesus, come Jesus, come Jesus, come Jesus. I mean, imagine if George Washington, who was praying for providence and God's support, would have said, oh, Jesus, come back. Teleport me out of here. The British are here. It's the devil. King George III's the Antichrist. What am I going to do? So is the mark of the beast real? What are Christians going to do that don't get teleported out as the world leader shows up, the cashless society, all of it's unfolding, scriptures being fulfilled? They're like, I'm still waiting to be teleported out. Now preachers are saying you can take the chip and do what the government says.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Now, I want to be clear about something. When it comes to the private Federal Reserve, I'm an expert. When it comes to tracking the globalists, what they're doing through medical tyranny, I am very well informed. When I get up here and talk about the tribulation and post-tribulation doctrines or pre-tribulation doctrines or mid-tribulation, I'm not attacking anybody if you disagree with me. If you're a Christian, if you're an atheist, if you think it happens after or before, it's okay to have debates. People get so angry when I say there's God or say there's the devil, the atheists all get upset. Or if I get up here and talk about, man, looks like the mark of the beast is pretty much getting here. I've got all these stacks of news about cashless societies and how they're going to screw us over with it. Even if you were an atheist, you shouldn't want a cashless society of total surveillance, total control. Look at how they can game these digital systems with the interest rates and the stock markets and the currencies and, you know, Bank of America trying to charge you $5 every time you use your card. Remember that? I mean, this is a bad idea. And the Bible says it's the worst idea, and it's when you know the devil is upon you. Wow, that's a 2,000-plus-year-old book, and I'm really into it. I mean, we don't know all the mysteries of this world is what I'm getting at. People go, well, those are studied by the Masons, and those are studied by the Egyptians and by the occultists, and you know, so what are you doing talking about it? Because the original Christians were all into that, folks, and then that all got walled off so that we never got the information. And I'm here really trying to have a debate about all this stuff, not be some Pharisee saying I've got all the answers. Now, I'm going to stop now because I've got 13, 14 phone calls. Donna, Sam, James, Michael, David, Donnie, Eddie, Mark, Lenny, Sue, Glenn. I will go to every caller in the next 3 segments. We're going to do it right now. So, is this all there is, this third dimension? Mathematics show it isn't. Where do we come from? Are you worried about the mark of the beast? Or do you just think none of it's real? Or maybe if something bad happens, we'll just be teleported out? Let me just say this. I hope that if the Antichrist shows up and starts carrying out all this tyranny, but first has all these medical miracles to save people and help them and for the first couple of years, and we make them world leader. Man, I tell you, the Revelations reads like Childhood's End, or I should say Childhood's End reads like Revelations. You got 4 or 5 years of everything being wonderful and all these miracles, and everybody's worshiping the Antichrist, and then he makes you bow down and worship him, and if you don't, he kills you. I hope none of that's true. I'll tell you that right now. But let me tell you, I see the whole world lining up to fulfill this. And I go to church after church, and I don't hear a word about it. I hear praise Jesus things are so bad. That means Jesus is coming back real soon. Well, I don't think Jesus is coming back for people that hid out in their church and didn't go out and do anything and stand up against this. Those people sound like collaborators to me. And I'm not on some high horse, but if I get lectured one more time by a Pharisee about me getting mad sometimes and using mild French, which I try not to do, but I'm so real I do it occasionally, I'm going to throw up. Get the beam out of your eye before you talk about the stick in my eye. I'm ready to die for the unborn. I'm ready to stand up against the globalist. I'm nothing special, but I don't like evil. I know my heart's right. Where's yours? Because I don't see the manifestation of resistance against tyranny. I see people in a coma who want to go to church and look like they're all upright and good, and at night we know what you're doing. I almost want to go do bad stuff so I'm not with you, all the fakes. I'm racked by conscience. I'm racked by trying to be the best person I can be. And even having to study the globalists and war game their evil, I have to get in their mindset, and then I feel sinful even studying the enemy. The knowledge of good and evil permeates all. I just know that great evil is upon us, and it's only going to intensify for the decades coming forward. It may be 50 years, 100 years out. My gut tells me it's more like 10 years. I mean, stuff is moving quick, folks, and it's scary. But like Nineveh, we could get a reprieve. God was going to judge Nineveh. But because Jonah didn't want to go, Jonah didn't want to be a prophet, Jonah didn't want to go out and tell the truth, Jonah didn't want to get in people's faces, but because Jonah did it, the people listened. They got a 100-year reprieve from the volcanoes and earthquakes that destroyed that civilization, and archaeology shows it happened. And let me tell you, if we can get a 100-year reprieve, that's great. That's another thing. We push back the evil. You pray, you take action, you get involved. We push it back. We hold back world government. We hold back forced inoculation. We hold back sexualization of 5-year-olds. And people say, where is it? It isn't coming. Where's the tyranny? And finally, though, the walls are failing. The shields are going down. Liberty's failing all over the world. Evil's coming in. People are starting to go, wait a minute, it's real. Wow, hey, do more to fight it. See how that works? And global depression is already raging all over the world. And when it gets here with this spoiled, rotten population, Katie, bar the door. Let's start going to the calls. Thank you for holding. James in Knoxville, Tennessee, what is your take on this?
Hey, Brother Alex. First and foremost, man, I want to say thank you so much for being a watchman in the wild and being that voice that we need to help lead us, man. I really appreciate InfoWars. I really appreciate your entire crew. For me, you know, I've watched after the tribulation, the video that you had something to do with, and I agree 100%. We are not going to be raptured out of here. We're not going to be magically teleported out. Christ is not coming back until immediately after the tribulation. If you look at what he says in Matthew 24, that's his exact words. So for me, you know, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the tribulation. I don't know what to expect. I know the mark of the beast is real. I know everything that you've preached about today is absolutely real. All I know is I'm going to put my faith and my trust in God, in the Lord Jesus Christ. That's all I can do. My family's going to be fine as long as I lean on him and trust in him.
Absolutely. And imagine when it gets this dark, all these Christian lights are going to be so bright. It's why the Antichrist will want to snuff them out. And again, when you look at how the system does everything it can, it's scary to think all this is happening. So, of course, people don't want to hear this doctrine that we have to go through this. But that's what makes us great. It's what tests us. God bless you. Good to hear from you. Again, I once heard a saying, pray for post. Pray for pre, prepare for post. Pray for pre, prepare for post. And all I know is there's tribulations all the time. The Bible is so incredible. It talks about many antichrists with antichrist spirits building towards the final antichrist. Antichrist spirit. Kill, steal, and destroy. We're going to go to break, and I'm going to come back and just race through calls, I promise, for 2 more segments. I'm going to get to everybody. Separately on this subject, we need your prayers. We need your support. And some people complain and say, you know, I don't like a religious show. Why are you religious sometimes? I can't help it. This whole world is under a religious system. This whole globalist operation is about making us go into a one-world religion. So we need your prayers. We need your support. Spread the word about the broadcast, the free podcast, the links to the shows, the links to the videos. And we need you to take advantage of the amazing products and shop with the good guys at InfoWarsStore.com. A bunch of big sales in tonight.
I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen.
For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2.
I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there.
Take advantage of this at InfoWarsLife.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going right to your phone calls. Is the mark of the beast real? Well, a global system to make you biometrically scan or swipe a card to travel, to purchase food, to work, is here. So regardless of whether it's real biblically or not, it's now manifesting, and it's very oppressive, and the churches won't talk about it, won't discuss it, because they're too busy telling everybody they're going to be raptured out of it. That's the Protestant churches. The Catholic Church is too busy saying, embrace it, world government, open your borders, one world religions. I mean, we're in a lot of trouble. And all I know is what the Bible teaches is not being taught in most of these churches. What's being taught is state-run totalitarianism. Donna in New Hampshire, thank you for holding her on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. Well, first of all, I don't believe the mark of the beast is going to be any kind of microchip. What it's going to be is whether or not you're obedient. And the frontal lobe of our brain is where we make our decisions. And that's going to be whether you're going to obey the beast system or you're not. And I truly believe that that people will have a connection. There'll be 2 sets of people at that point in time. There'll be those that obey the mark of the beast and those that don't. And remember, Jesus said in Mark 13:20 that he has shortened the time. So the time of the Antichrist is only going to be here 5 months.
Because if he didn't, there'd be no flesh spared.
Exactly. And that's why if you don't stock back gold, silver, guns, ammo, your food, if you can just hunker down for 5 months, you're going to beat the system. And that's how it works.
Absolutely. But so the devil comes in, takes over the churches. I'm not blaming Masons, but it was a Masonic group did it. Teaches, oh, no, you're going to be raptured, don't worry. So you're a sitting duck when it all happens. Notice everything the globalists do is about getting you dependent, making sure you don't have storable food, making sure you're not prepared, making sure you're not self-sufficient, getting you on welfare. Everything, because they need you to opt in with your free will and accept the mark of the beast, which are you saying is a frontal lobe brain chip?
No, what I'm saying is that we have to use our frontal lobes to make decisions.
No, but I tend to think it is finally a brain chip. It's nanotech injected. They already have it where you agree to take a nano injection, quote, anti-stress vaccine that actually permanently alters your brain and makes you submit and destroys the spiritual connection center in your pineal. They actually have that. They've been giving it to troops for a decade. Secretly, it was declassified last year.
Oh, and not to mention the fact that they've been pumping fluoride in our systems for very long.
All of it. But, I mean, I agree that it's a beast system, but it is cashless. It is a mark biometrically scanned to buy or sell, but you must opt into it. And there it is. DARPA researchers build dissolvable medical electronics. So that's out of PC World. Thank you so much for the call, Donna. Let's go ahead and talk to Michael in Ontario, Oregon, I guess. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, Alex, hi. How you doing?
Welcome.
I'm a long-time listener. I've been listening to you about 8 years, and, you really do a good job here putting this stuff out. But, my friend, I would like to caution you to, now you're getting into a ground where I know you would not intentionally mislead people because I've listened to you talk about the documentation and stuff. But when we get down to the mark of the beast, it is absolutely real. But the thing is what is the beast? And you need to do a study of both of the book of Daniel and Revelations, because in prophecy, a beast is a kingdom or a power. And
I agree. It's the mark of the world government and the one world leader and his false prophet and the beast system. Obviously, I said at the beginning, I know it's real. I believe in the mark of the beast. I asked the question to you, the listeners, do you think it's real as part of the debate?
Yes, I do believe it's real. And the thing is that the beast can be identified because, for number one, it's a power. It's a state. It's a government, a political power.
Yes, sir.
It is a financial power. It is also a religious
And it
power.
says it all. Just, folks, read Revelation for yourself. Read Daniel, read Ezekiel. They all tie together. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was so smart, and he would sit there and say, son, he'd study the Bible like 5 hours a day. He was a great guy, World War II vet, you name it. He would say, the devil's getting us through prosperity. It's a false prosperity. It's a Trojan horse. They're getting everybody dependent. The system, he would talk about it constantly because he could see it. And now it's so clear that they're trying to put us into a false reality. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and you made a remark here. Why don't you hear this preached in the churches these days? And I'll tell you what, you'll not hear this, because in 2014 at the Global Summit there in Seoul, South Korea, when 80 major religious leaders from Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism,
Shinto, all of it,
Protestants, all of them got together and signed a pledge to get the UN that they would try to use their influence to get the UN to pass a one world religion.
And you can do anything you want, but you can't criticize another one, and you have to basically accept it. That is directly out of the Bible, and now we have the Pope openly calling for a one world religion. I mean, that is prophecy being fulfilled, absolutely. And I'm not bashing Catholics, folks. It's just a fact, and everybody knows that. Catholics are freaking out, but the Protestant churches are just as bad. It is crazy, and it is so dangerous. God bless you. I appreciate your call. Donnie in West Virginia, you're on the air. Thank you for holding.
Thank you, Alex. I just want to let you know that, I've been supporting InfoWars all I can. I'm at work, and I'm trying to share this knowledge with everybody, and you got guys that I actually had a guy ask me if the New World Order, and he was being dead serious, if I was referring to the WWE wrestling duo. I was flabbergasted when he said that. Because we see it all around us. Goldman Sachs, Bilderberg, these are all systems. The CFR, Trilateral Commission, they're all systems of the New World Order coming together. But also, the mark of the beast, I think it's going to be a physical and it's going to be a mental thing. Like, you have the absence of the knowledge of God in your heart as well as your mind, simultaneously with taking a physical mark, be it a microchip, a barcode, whatever, in your hand or in your forehead. Because it does say...
What it is pledging allegiance to the private world government, to the private Federal Reserve, to what it's doing, because that system is going to be murdering and enslaving the third world en masse. It's going to be the first world pledging allegiance to the extermination of 80% of the world population in the UN plan. God's not going to put up with it. And no one else gets into this. I wish I wasn't the only person. It's dangerous. I basically have studied it, and I basically have nightmares about it, and I'm getting ready to just start laying it all out, folks. But let me tell you, Europe and the United States in places are going to be quasi-protected. We're going to take the mark. We're going to go along with it. And the globalists are going to release bioweapons, you name it. They're going to wipe out the third world. We're going to basically take the biometric, genetically engineered injections that protect us, but that basically give up our free will and pledge allegiance to survive the plagues that are brought upon the earth. I've looked at their whole plan, and it's satanically inspired. I've really studied it. We've got God inspiring us. They got the devil inspiring them. And all I can tell folks is get ready and hold on to your hat, because all these elites are working to survive what they think's coming. They think they're doing an emergency surgery on the earth to save it. But in truth, you look at everything they're doing, they're killing it. Folks, just don't be bored out there, people. That's if you're tuning into mainstream media, you're bored, because that's a false reality. You feel like it's not fulfilling because it's empty. If you're tuned into the real world, folks, you'll be on fire. It is incredible what's happening.
I walk around just ticked half the day, most of the days of the week. I mean, just angry at what I'm seeing.
Because you're
around me.
awake, brother. God bless you. You know what's going on. Your spirit's alive. You're awake. You're tuned in. You're not dead. They live, we sleep. Well, what happens when we live? Spiritually. They need us dead spiritually, asleep to rule us. So we're going to come back and just keep jamming calls in. Mark and a bunch of other callers, Todd and Glenn and others. Your calls are coming up on the other side of this break. Again, we have 3 different specials. 3 to 4 months off on all the high-quality storable foods at InfoWarsSelect.com, powered by My Patriot Supply. The highest quality. That ends tomorrow morning. We extended it a couple days. 6 months free. We do this every January on PrisonPlanet.tv, the InfoWars Nightly News subscription, all the live special events and more. InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv, 6 months off on that. 50% off right now on the super high-quality colloidal silver bullet, 30 parts per million. And when you buy products at InfoWarsStore.com, you're finding the tip of the spear in the fight for human liberty. I intend to continue this discussion throughout the weekday broadcast, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central tomorrow, Monday through Friday. Nightly News, 7 o'clock Central, weeknights as well. Find details at InfoWars.com/show. But let's race through more of these calls right now, like folks that are holding Glenn in Connecticut, and Steve in Wisconsin, Sam calling from FEMA Region 5, Todd, North Carolina, and many, many others that are patiently holding. Let's see who's been holding the longest here. Let's go ahead and talk to Sam. Sam in FEMA Region 5, because, you know, we are under FEMA, so it's kind of fun that folks say what FEMA region they're in. I'm in FEMA Region 6, formerly Texas, but our governor knows that, now speaking out against it. That's the good news. Sam, you're on the air. Welcome.
Welcome there. Thank you, Alex. I just wanted to call in and say, yes, the mark of the beast is absolutely going to be real, and you'd have to be blind not to see that prophecy is coming through.
It's all being manifest, isn't it? It's incredible.
My question to you is, when do we stand up? I mean, I signed the petitions. I stock the beans and the bullets. I follow you. You're my General George Washington. I listen to you daily, and I get my information. I pass it. I spread it. But when is the red line? When do we stand up and actually gather together and put an end to this? Is it when the mark of the beast comes and they force us on us, or is it?
Yes, sir. They're going to bring in a global financial collapse. This may be a smaller one that's about to happen to get us ready for it, but then they issue the ID cards. They make you biometrically scan to buy and sell. They say for security reasons you've got to do it. They start arresting people that aren't part of it. They start rounding up people in ghettos and communities that don't go along with it. They start saying Christians are terrorists, which they're already saying in the Homeland Security directives. They start bringing in radical Islamists to attack us. You see the early stages of what they're planning and who they are. And you fight as hard as you can to get the info out, informational, warfare-wise, so that when it actually goes physical, we've got the maximum number of people that are informed and involved and awake to what's happening. I mean, the question you ask is the key question. But I think so much of this is what the earlier caller said. Biblically, we're not meant to go on an offensive against this. If you actually follow the Bible, we're meant to try to stay out of the way, hunker down, be in rural areas. It's only going to go for less than a year. Now, there'll be huge growth pains and birth pains up to the line and lots of lower-level manifestations of the evil. You know, tens of millions die in car wrecks every year worldwide. I mean, is that a Holocaust? Is that the Antichrist? No, it's just part of life. But you can see them building towards this future dehumanization system. The key is don't let your family fall into the delusion of the virtual reality, the TV, the drugs, the wires. They're going to plug directly into your brain. That's the mark of the beast, is giving over your consciousness. The Antichrist is spiritually us giving over our will to the system and then raising a world leader up who is the Antichrist, but the Antichrist itself is the beast system that we absorb into and plug into, like Google. Google executives, when they were founded 17 years ago, they had top people there, and the government was there. It was Wired Magazine, had an article on it last year. I've been told about this by executives, but never seen it in the news. I'd already told people on air, and Nico came and said, you've been saying this for the 4 years I've worked here, or 3 years I've worked here, and he handed me the big Wired article where they were meeting. They released the minutes of their first meeting, and they said, gentlemen, we're not building a search engine. We're building a system that controls reality. Once we can predict the future, we can steer the future. We already have the technology. We'll build the new brain. and it'll actually be a neuro hive plugging in billions of people into a network with each other. The truth is it's human-driven. The artificial intelligence is a billion-plus people in live time interface with a computer. Now, if that isn't artificial intelligence, I don't know what is. Talk about putting your minds together. What God says is what two of you on earth agree to, all be made done in heaven. What about 1 billion of you agree to at one time? Let's put the Wired Magazine article back up. Google just open source TensorFlow, its artificial intelligence engine. And they've already released it. So I'm telling you, folks, you're not in Kansas anymore. I mean, this is hardcore, and they're doing it. And let me tell you, the entity, the spirit, the will, believe in the devil or not, the folks running this don't have your good intentions. They're not nice people. They don't have goodwill. They're bad. They hate you. And they've got the will to build this because they want power. And if men keep sitting around watching the NFL playoffs, they're going to beat us. But they're not going to turn off all the fun and entertainment until they're ready to carve you up. You're going to be so transfixed watching NFL and taking drugs and synthetic wirehead plug-in virtual reality that when they come and you're dying of 14 different cancers, they'll say, please sign the form for your next welfare check for your family, and we'll give you the dose that frees your mind. You'll say, give me that shot, and that robot's going to jam a lethal injection in your arm, and pow, you're gone. You're going to ask them to kill you because it's all just a dream, isn't it? None of it's real. You're so whacked out, you didn't see how you got taken over by an alien force from another dimension. The Bible tells us about it and gave us a transmission through humans to be warned about what was coming. I'm living in a science fiction movie, and it's all real. Unbelievable. Thank you, Sam. Let's go to, who's up next? Glenn in Connecticut. Thanks for holding her on the air.
Hi, Alex. I want to read you a passage from Revelation 21:8.
Please.
From New Living Translation. But cowards, unbelievers, the corrupt, murderers, the immoral, those who practice witchcraft, idol worshippers, and all liars, their fate is in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. Basically, if you don't get involved and you're a coward, you're going to suffer.
That's right. Cowards die 1,000 deaths. Absolutely. And this whole pre-trib revelation thing is written for people to put everybody to sleep. Go ahead.
Also, I sent you a InfoWars tip about political correctness. Basically, tomorrow's Martin Luther King Day, and there's real discrimination going on Native American reservations. But they can do it because they're their own sovereign nation. But if you were to do it, you would get sued. So I sent you some InfoWars show tips on that.
Absolutely. You know, people think just because the reservations are supposedly run by independent groups, they're going to be these panaceas of happiness, these utopias. Many of them are some of the most corrupt, hellish places you can imagine. And it's so sad what's been done there. And the model used on Native Americans was then used by Hitler with his concentration camps. That's a fact. Just look up Hitler modeled his concentration camps after British Native American facilities, and then we modeled them after the British as well. Not demonizing the British, it's just a fact, historical fact. Thank you very much. God bless you. Let's go ahead and take another call now. Let's talk to Todd in North Carolina. Todd, you're on the air.
Thank you, Alex. I'll make this quick. There are many passages of Scripture that totally refute the pre-tribulation rapture doctrine, and I want to bring up two of them quickly. One is from the Gospel according to John and also from Revelation. In John chapter 17, in his high priestly prayer, Jesus prays for his disciples and for those who believe on him that the Father would not take them out of the world, but keep them from the evil of the world. And you compare that with Revelation chapter 3.
Exactly. God always tries to keep his prophets in the world to fight the evil. Sorry, go ahead. Okay, I'll just compare that with Revelation chapter 3. The church in Philadelphia is told that they would be kept, should I say, from the hour of temptation that shall come upon all the world. It's using the very same phrasing, I will keep thee from, just like in John chapter 17. And so forth. So believe me, Alex, it's like I'm so glad
that last year and this year would had the After the Tribulation DVD to come out, and then the Left Behind or Led Astray set. I mean, you've got the scriptural and the historical evidence to totally blast pre-trib out of the water. And I totally agree with what Rick Wiles said here a little while back. He believes probably within 5 years or so that circumstances in the world will totally destroy the doctrine.
Absolutely, because you're going to see everything manifest. Open world government, world leaders, buy or sell chips. And then what are we going to do? I mean, you're going to why am I still here? I'm supposed to be out of here. God bless you. I'm out of time. If Steve and Mark and Lenny and Sue call us back tomorrow on the weekday show, I promise I'll get to you. Thank you to the crew, doing a great job coming in here on Sundays. Thank you to all of our affiliates. Thank you to everyone that makes this radio broadcast possible. Please keep us in your prayers, and also understand we do battle against evil forces. It is spiritual. It's not flesh and blood. It's powers and principalities. It really is. The elite are all into the occult, folks. We're in trouble. Everybody knows it. Body parts of babies are being sold everywhere. I mean, give me a break. And please spread the link, Infowars.com/show to Facebook, Twitter, your friends. Tell them tune in tomorrow. We got a big broadcast coming up, 11 a.m. Central. God bless you all.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're going to crash and going to feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.